Most of you are not going to hear anything new this morning from my comments, but it's merely a reminder for all of us how transitory this life is. That's because we build up treasures for ourselves, but you've all seen that little cartoon where there was a hearse with a U-Haul behind it. You're not going to have it. Vanity of vanity. Everything's vanity. I often think about that. When children blow those soap bubbles, they're beautiful to look at. If in the sun, they're all kinds of colors, but then poof, they're gone. That's life. Now, first of all, remember, Jesus is not against wealth or having nice things. He himself had a robe without a seam. In those days, that was a very expensive garment. So he's not about having money or having nice things. But what the message is, that they are not the most important things in life. That sooner or later, every one of us is going to have to give up all those material things as we die, and we believe that we're going to enter a new life, and you can't take anything with you except your relationship with God. That's the whole point of today. Do we all realize this is the most important hour of our whole week? Because this furthers our relationship with God. That's our struggle. So we look at our possessions. If you follow this, when you go home today, go and look at your cupboards and your closets. Is it time to let go of some of these things? I'm told that one of the fastest growing businesses in America today are those people who build storage garages, storage sheds. Because we all have so much stuff. And it's something in human nature that we don't want to give it away. We want to hold on to it. Even if we don't use it, even if we're never going to use it, we want to keep it. So we rent storage sheds for our stuff. And that becomes the time when our possessions start to possess us. Now, most of us spend 95% of our time and effort to earn a living and to pay the bills and to support those around us. That's not bad. Most of us cannot leave everything and go and live in a desert or go to a monastery or a convent. We have to support ourselves and those close to us. But it is the extent that we do this that we're being challenged today. When will enough be enough? That's the question. Because this is human nature. We all struggle with this because even if you have a lot, it's not enough. There's something in human nature that we always want more. And that's what we have to struggle with and we have to deal with. Because Colossians says, think about the things that are above. Think about what's going to happen after we die. To ourselves, first of all, and then to our possessions. When I die, my nephew is going to back up a dumpster. You too, probably. Our treasures, they're only treasures for us, not for anyone else. So we're challenged by that. Because most of us spend our lives making a living, and then we go into making a killing, and then if we're lucky enough, we start thinking about making a life. What I mean by that is, first of all, we start off in life by making a living, paying the bills, getting a house, so on. But then after we have everything, because in our culture, you can always have more, we want bigger and better. That's where we start making a killing. Bigger house, bigger car, clothes, health clubs, golf, whatever, hobbies. And then there comes a time in life, hopefully, where we realize that all of that is those are vapors. It's a smoke screen. And we really start thinking about making a life. And that's when we are called, many of us, forced to downsize. Some of you have gone through that or have relatives that have gone through that, where they had to sell their home and move to an apartment. And then maybe from an apartment to assisted care and so on. And all of a sudden you live in one little room with just one little dresser with a few clothes. That's what we're challenged to think about today. The reading about the gospel about the two brothers fighting over their inheritance always reminds me, a long time ago, a funeral director called me and asked if I would come and lead a funeral service for an elderly man. And he said he has no relatives. There will probably not be anybody there, but I still think we should offer some prayers for him. And of course I agreed. And I got there that evening. The funeral home room was full of people. And the funeral director whispered to me, he had money. In order to keep all of this in balance, first of all, we have to remember that everything in life is a gift. Even though we all work hard for our stuff, it's still a gift. You know as well as I, there's a lot of people in the world that don't have anything, and we have a lot. So it's a gift. And once we realize it's a gift, then we start to realize that we can be generous. And there is a certain joy that we receive when we are giving. I suspect you've all realized that already. The Bible teaches tithing, giving 10% of your income away. Once we decide on what percentage of our income we're going to give away, then it becomes a challenge as to who we're going to give it to. And that's the joy of giving. That's the challenge of giving. But there's always that human tendency to hold on because someday we might need it. I heard about a lady that had a closet full of clothes and they were all different sizes. And they said, why do you keep the smaller sizes? She said, well, that's my hope that one day I'm going to get back there. That's the challenge. Reminds me of the story of a 6th grade math teacher challenged her class in mathematics. And she said a man died and he had $12 million. And he wrote in his will to give half to his wife, 1/5 to his son, 1/6 to his nephew, and the rest to charity. What should each one get? Now, some of you are good mathematicians, so half to his wife, 1/5 to a son, 1/6 to a nephew, the rest to charity. What should each one get? And one little boy raised his hand and said, get a lawyer. That's what we're challenged to do. And if I can twist this a little bit, the lawyer is Christ, challenging us to take what is we're going to one day have to give away, but to do it now. And by doing that, we become like Christ. See, in that second reading, we always misread it. Put to death, therefore, in you what is earthly: fornication, impurity, passion, evil desires, and greed. Now, if you're struggling with that's a good thing to struggle with. But it must be replaced by something better. See, most of us think that our goal in life is to become sinless, and that's part of it. But we'll only become sinless when we take on greater goodness. That's the image of Christ. Jesus no longer lives in this world, but he wants to live through us. So as we die to these earthly desires, we take on more of his unselfish desire for others, and we make his presence known. That's the balance. If you just try to give up sin and you don't replace it with goodness, it's not going to happen. We're challenged by word and sacrament to become what we receive. So this week, speak what you heard in today's word. Act would we receive in the Eucharist the presence of Christ. Thank you for watching this week's homily here at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. We invite you to join us for liturgy any weekend that you might be in the area. You can contact us at mysaintelizabeth.com or on Facebook. Thank you very much.